Hey, it's Margie with the Asking Spot. If you're new to my channel, this is where we ask, can I repurpose, reuse, or recycle something before going into the landfill? Now, generally speaking, I do try to work with furniture. However, every now and then, it's fun to do some crafts, and this craft will also be a learning curve because I'm going to try a couple techniques on it, and I'll be using one to try other stuff with cardboard reuse. And the other one will be a paint technique that I want to do on a project that's behind me that I just haven't gotten to yet. So, using a cardboard box. Yeah, I love summer sausage. So it was a great gift, but now we've got just the box left. And yeah, I could easily take it and, because it's got the brown cardboard, and then, kind of rip it up and just throw it in our compost heap. But that wouldn't be as much fun. Besides, I can learn two different techniques with this piece. If it works, we've got plenty more cardboard. I mean, who doesn't? Thank you very much.
Amazon boxes?
Yes. So what I'm going to do is you can use a joint compound. I'm going to use this all-purpose caulk on it and see if I can't work with that. And the idea is just to kind of fancy it up more on the top and then try a paint technique on it. And the paint technique is where I'm really trying to go with this, because there's something behind me that desperately needs to be redone, and I don't want to try this paint technique on that. It's much easier to try it on a cardboard box. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, rinse it all off, compost heap it is. So here it goes. Now, I ended up using gloves, not so much because I had to, but because it's winter and my hands chap fairly easily, so less scrubbing them to clean them, the better. Just an FYI in case you want to do the same. The other things I learned in this was if I had to do this from scratch to begin with, because I would not be using the stuff out of the tube. It would have been so much easier if I'd just gotten a joint compound that I could scoop out of a container and slap it on. But because I always try to use what I have on hand first, I'm stuck with the tube stuff. Although props to it, because this, I used it a long time ago and it's still in there and I'm still able to get it out of the tube, albeit it's a little difficult, but that might just be me.
Weak.
But it's still active product, so that's pretty cool. The other thing I learned was I have serious respect for cake frosters. Oh my goodness, they make it look so easy. It's not difficult, but it's
It's challenging.
Yeah.
But doable.
Hey, quick side note, with the products you're using like this, anything, like a joint compound, anything that you put on and it's wet and gooey and then it dries hard, that's nothing you want to put in your drains because it'll do the same there. I'm rinsing out my spatula for this in the little bowl of water that I had there as well as I can, getting all the gunk off of it, and then I'm going to take that, and we have some gravel in our, yard decor that doesn't drain down into the ground, it's just into the pots. I'm going to put it in there first and see if my gardener husband's happy about that later. All right, I'm pretty much almost done with the caulk. And I've got the box covered, and the weird thing is it didn't turn out like I expected. Of course, I wasn't using the products that you're supposed to, so surprise, different results. The weird thing is I kind of like the results. They are not the clunky ceramic sort of look that I was going for, like like a rock or a heavy rock kind of thing. Not that kind of thing. But they came off. They feel and they move. It's kind of like leather. In the meanwhile, I do have another little box and I'm curious, so I went out and got some joint compound, and I'm going to do this the way it's recommended and apply it onto this. Just, same kind of technique though, just troweling it on, dipping my fingers in water to smooth it out if it gets a little too bumpy, and who knows, we should have an entirely different look than the other ones.
Six and a half hours later.
All right, here are our two boxes after 2 coats. Now we have the one that I started with using the caulk that I had. Turned out kind of cool. It's got sort of a leather feel to it, so I kind of like it and may use it in different techniques. I am going to try and paint it and see how it does with the paint though, because it doesn't strike me as it's going to take paint that well. On the other hand, we've got this piece with the joint compound, and this, it feels like I've just got a ceramic box now. Now, I am going to go through and sand this one up a bit to make it a little smoother and nicer. I cannot do that with the other one. I tried doing it, and you can kind of push things into where you want them, but sanding doesn't work all that well. This sands very easily. The other one though, I mean, you can snip things off of it, or you can just be more careful when you're applying it. Yeah. But yeah, so there's options. Paint time. I'm using white and black chalk paint, mixing it with water, attempting to do more of a 50-50, but not too successful there. I'm also going to do a scumble paint technique, which is basically, you see how I'm really sort of sloppily putting the paint on, and then you kind of merge the two together. That's the plan, at least. And then I'm giving it some texture by finally getting frustrated, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to dab my fingers into this. I didn't know at the time, but I'm missing something. More on that in just a bit. Despite missing a key element in the paint mixture, this splattering on the black and the white and then kind of blotching it in, that actually kind of worked. I just wish I would have known everything that should have gone into this. But if you are looking to do sort of a marble technique, that might have worked. Why I came back and did the black paint on the edges like this, I don't know. But it's all about layering, so I guess keep working until you get what you want? No, I probably need to study up on knowing when to quit.
A plane!
Now, this is a technique that is worth repeating. I used a scrap of fabric and dipped it in to some of the paint and then kind of glided it across the top of it, and that gave me a more random veining. Then more splattering, more blotting, just trying to build up layers and blend things forward and back. So are you marveling at the marble appearance of these boxes? Yeah, not so good. All right, I'm gonna try and put a gloss top on them, see if that helps.
Finally.
Or I might just spray paint these bad boys, cause yeah, they're not looking good. I'll admit it, they look like crap. All right, went back to the drawing board. Found out what I was missing was apparently glaze. It's a glazing medium. I thought, if I water this down, it should be fine, right? No, paint just watered down doesn't do the same. Glazing medium gives it a translucence. So I am going to try to save this. Hopefully this will work.
Not quite.
Well, adding the glazing medium certainly did help. And I'm starting to get this whole technique down where you blot kind of randomly and then use a t-shirt to come in and smooth out the sponge markings. So that's a good thing, but I'm still not quite getting this. On the bright side, this is the tiny silver lining to this, is while these may be a total
disaster.
Well, okay, they're not totally, they're very much.
Poor thing is a hot mess.
Yeah. I can still put a top coat on them. Yeah, I know, waste a little more product, but put a top coat on them and they'll still be used as gift boxes for someone else to throw out. No.
Well, yeah.
But with some nice bright ribbon around them, they aren't quite as morbid as they look. But yeah, what a bunch of time waste just to create gray sloppy boxes. Had I known this was going to be the end result,
Maybe you need a
but I
nap.
digress. The other bright note is these were what I was using to test it on, and I have come to realize that doing the marble paint effect in black just isn't something I'm going to be able to do. I'm over it. And the nice thing is I have saved the actual plant stand I was going to do this technique on. I have saved it from being a total disaster.
12 seconds later.
So I was cleaning up all the products I had used. I started pouring all the excess paint into one container, and I was like, I should try a pour paint technique. Pfft. Worked way better. Yeah, I'm having a good time with this. Okay, so everything I've been practicing and trying has been to work on this piece. This piece has some marring in it. It was a curb find, so I didn't expect perfection or anything like that. I thought, okay, let me work with some joint compound and see if I can start filling in where it's got some dents and dings in it. But then I started thinking maybe I don't need to do that, because while that gives it sort of an aged appearance, that's kind of cool. I'm still on the fence about that one. Oh, as far as the black marble, which was my whole hope of making this in the end look like that, I'm over it. I am still going to proceed with it, even though the attempts I've made so far have been
Absolutely horrendous.
less than what I really wanted. We'll leave it at that. But like with any other project, gotta clean it first. After giving it a quick cleanup, I've decided that I am only going to use some joint compound to try to even out the seam of this piece. But all the other nicks on it, I'm just going to leave as sort of a testament to its time.
So next day,
This time with this curve find, I am going to do it yeah, I'm gonna try this technique again, only now I'm gonna do with what I think is logical. That might be a bad thing, but here it goes. So right around this point, I'm really thinking, do I have enough spray paint to change this whole look? It's time to put on the black glaze, the low light, only this time I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to do it laying down. Not me, the piece is going to be laying down. Still have to work super fast. I'm going to put the glaze on almost all over into a large section. And then I'm going to use plastic bunched up grocery bags, and they're going to pull the paint away. And I'm going to have to keep crinkling them and changing them in directions so that they're not accidentally putting paint back on. Okay, so gave the piece a couple of top coats and just used a spray on gloss. And now, before we look at the end results, let's take a look where we started. And if you could, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. I appreciate it greatly. And now, the final results. Not bad for a curb find. It is not exactly how I wanted it to be or what I envisioned in my head, but it definitely is how I can live with it. And the gift boxes, you know, after a couple top coats on them as well, I kind of like them too. Thanks so much for watching the Asking Spot. Coming up, we got, well, who could that be? You're back! To my channel, that's something I would say. This isn't an Amazon box, so blah, blah, blah. Anything, I'm not making a lot of sense right now. I'm gonna slap some top coat on there because I've wasted far enough product now. Why stop? Yeah, so there'll be gift boxes for the dead, maybe. I'm frustrated. Okay, yeah. And still make them useful for gift boxes for, I don't know, people I don't like. No. Honestly, I will put a top coat on them, use them as gift boxes because with some bright ribbon, it'll be fun. And it's a cardboard box in the end, so we're good. And I also ended up saving the plant stand that I was going to try this technique on. I'm going to go a different route with that. Oh, there's a snake out there. I gotta move my dogs. Okay, no, not a snake. It was just a vine that looked like a snake. Now I understand snake patterns. What are you doing back?